because everybody, you want to please everyone. That's in our human nature. Most of us are going to be like, we want to make everybody happy. But the problem is when you try to make everyone happy, you make nobody happy in the process. So it's so important to get that all dialed in. But, I sometimes don't even see, like, there are some people that will have it dialed in for the most part. But then I hear them say, oh, it's the algorithm. Oh, it's the algorithm. The algorithm isn't serving out my book. The platform isn't showcasing my book. I've heard this so many times, and I understand, because some people will probably get swept up in the hype of a lot of YouTube videos and a lot of these big hype beasts that are just like, well, you can make $10,000 in the next 5 minutes with a low content book. No.
There's always a guru for it.
Oh yeah, it's and see, the algorithm is only just part of that. So have you heard people that are quick to blame an algorithm for the lack of their success?
Oh yeah, every day. I think, I'll blame the algorithm for giving me bad YouTube shorts. I think it's a very, very common complaint, and to an extent, it is a fair complaint, but it really does come down to understanding the algorithm. And I know that's a very vague thing to say.
Yeah, super
but
nebulous, the algorithm, but it's hard to explain because it's a very sophisticated mathematical formula that tries to predict a customer's wants and needs and desires.
Yeah. And the thing is, it tries to prioritize as well. And its prioritization is by no means predictable. Like, we want to say that we can understand the algorithm. The best thing is we can take a guess at understanding the algorithm. Yeah. However, the thing is, to an extent, the algorithm can be played. We all know this. We all know that certain topics become popular. If you look at Amazon and you go and search for something on Amazon, your top sellers on there, to an extent, are decided by your personal algorithm. Now, Amazon might be a bad example just due to the fact that there's a lot of other things that play into it, like review numbers, sales numbers, BSR, etc. But even on YouTube, your algorithm is completely, again, nebulous, as you say, but to an extent predictable, just based off of the fact that it is going to favor trends that are popular right now. With that being said, as an author, if you are able to effectively play on those trends and in a way evolve on those trends, you can play the algorithm at times.
Yeah, just to kind of counterbalance what you've said, though, there are popular trends. You can find those trending keywords. You can find those categories and those niches that are doing really well. But that does not mean you're assured success. Just because you've found the goal doesn't mean that you're going to be able to sell it. And that's where I think a lot of authors, unfortunately, feel like they're owed that algorithmic love. Ultimately, at the end of the day, if you want to get the love of the algorithms, cold, hard sales do that. Not passively publishing your book over onto Amazon. That just doesn't work that way. Yep. Just passively putting it out there. Yes, there are outliers. There are some people that will capture that lightning in the bottle. But I will say this, that it is the exception to the rule. Finding those keywords, yes. Finding those categories, yes. Locking those onto your publication, yes. But that's only part of the formula. You need to actually start to actively market and promote those books. Yeah. We've kind of gone into some of these things here, and I'm going to go over to section number 2 real briefly here, because I know that if we stay too long on section 1, we'll end up going into things. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about niche discipline versus trend chasing, which is perfect for us to talk about, because we got niche discipline.
This is actually a perfect segue.
Stick and stay, or B, do we get on that treadmill and run and run and run? So I'll let you take the very first question here.
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of whether you should stay on a niche or whether you should change it up and chase trends, there is a middle ground. There is a Goldilocks zone that I think a lot of people overlook. A lot of people think it's very black and white. Either you stick with what you know or you try and chase something that's popular. You can get that middle ground. And this kind of comes back to what I mentioned earlier as being able to evolve a topic, when we're talking about algorithms. Um, if you can stay within a niche that is appropriate for you, perhaps it's something you've published in before, perhaps it's something that you are personally knowledgeable or you found success with, but you are able to help evolve that to make it more relevant to current trends. That is a Goldilocks zone, like perfect spot that a lot of authors try to hit, don't necessarily always do, but that is where you are going to find success when it comes to trends. Now, if we were to look at this black and white and just compare staying in a trend or staying with your current like sort of genre and trend as opposed to switching it up and chasing something that's new and popular, it's subjective.
Yeah.
That's the easy way to put it. Um, in general, a lot of it comes back to historical success. If you've found historical success in a specific trend or a niche, generally, you are going to maintain consistent success there. Unless
Yeah.
something really weird happens and there's a massive fallout in popularity in that particular topic, which you should be aware of if you are doing your research,
Yep.
you should still eventually find success there. Maybe you might strike out on one or two books, but eventually it should hit you again. However, if you are finding a consistent lack of success, and if you're finding that it's not just a lack of success, but it's completely dead, in fact, then you definitely do want to look into switching trends. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean trend chasing, but that can mean significantly changing what you are currently doing to make it more algorithmically friendly, make it
Mhm.
more friendly to ongoing trends, the current environment right now. It depends on what you are currently publishing in. But generally, if it's like a medical topic, you'll find that various dieting fads might die out over time.
Oh yeah,
But
lots.
given
Over the years I've been in it, it comes and
exactly,
goes. It comes and goes. You go from the ketos to the
I was
paleos
gonna
to
say I don't know
everything
where
else.
keto is now. I
Yeah,
don't know. I
where's
used to see
keto?
keto everywhere.
Yeah,
Where's
exactly.
keto? So
Yeah,
like you'll see that a lot of authors and publishers in that niche, they've evolved over time. They've stuck within the same general sort of niche and pool of readers, but they are changing things up. And they are moving from diet to diet, from trend to trend, health craze to health craze.
yeah.
Ideally, you want to try and find that.
It can be a little dangerous here for some authors, and I'm going to speak just specifically to the authors and
Yep.
not just the folks that are building like a publishing agency of sorts. There are some authors out there that are going to try to chase a trend underneath one brand name. And the biggest issue is that when you have a single author brand and it's scattered everywhere, it's known as a multi-genre author. It's not against the law. I won't call the cops on you. You're good, Alan. But the biggest problem is the readers can't expect. They don't know what to expect from you. If you're going from 1 minute doing, let's say, Werebear Shapeshifter Romance, and the next thing your book is coming out, it's ABDL. Look that up, by the way, and you've been warned.
I'm more interested in the Werebear Shapeshifter
Where
romance, to be
yes,
honest. That
where
one, you threw that one out there, then you got the tongue twister right as well. I would have lost my tongue on that one.
yeah.
I feel
So
like you've been reading that quite a bit, have you, Dale?
I have. I'm an
Yeah.
avid reader. Yes. Of course, then I can always just say, if I ever get into ABDL, it depends. Anybody that gets that joke will get that joke. But at any rate, the problem is when you start to just shotgun approach it, that you're chasing this trend underneath
Yeah.
one author brand name, is the readers don't know what to expect, and the algorithms don't know how to serve your brand best. And so it becomes very, very scattered. I'm going to tell you that comes from first-hand experience because my first
Yep.
couple of years into the business, I was shotgunning. I was chasing trends. It wasn't until I had a self-publishing coach, his name was Jason Brock, and he actually sat down with me and was like, stop everything you're doing. He pointed right in my account. He goes, you see that? And I was like, yeah. And it was my fitness book, the 90-day home workout plan. He goes, I want to see more of that. He goes, all this other stuff, toss it out. And believe it or not, within about a half a year, because I had listened to him and I took the necessary steps in building out this brand that people could predictably know what was going to
Mm.
come out next, that's when it exploded. That's when it became very big for me. It became lucrative. And it was when that light bulb moment came off. And that's where it's just knowing, okay, sure, you can find this hot trend, but if you can, think about like what is the long-term implications of me publishing this brand? Because if I can hang out in this fitness area, which by the way, if I wanted to keep doing my fitness brand, I could keep doing that. Totally fine. But it's those folks that become very frustrated because they've tried this, and this. You got to get good on the direction you want to go if you want to attract that ideal reader. And I see a lot of frustration because if you're a creative individual, it feels very restraining. It feels very handcuffed when I'm telling you like, hey, you can only hit this niche. That's totally fine that you want to scratch that itch. But what I would recommend is the stuff that you're putting out into the atmosphere, that you're publishing onto the Amazon marketplace, that you get it very dialed in. Scratch that creative itch nonetheless on the side. Keep that stuff.
Yeah, do it somewhere else.
Exactly. And build that backlog up. And then let's say as that big brand is doing really good and you've built it out, you've already got something ready. You can start and launch a full author brand with. And I know that's not pretty. It's not sexy. It's a long-term business plan, but it has something of compounding interest if you really invest in it.
Exactly. And I mean, this is what pen names are for, really. Like, at the end of the day, a pen name pretty much exists for this, is so that you can publish things under a different name from your own. A perfect real-world example of what you just mentioned here is George R.R. Martin, okay? The author of Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, at this point, that series must be one of the best-selling fiction series of all time, the books. But a lot of people don't know that he actually has another series that he's actively been writing for the last few years and putting books out, and I believe it's a fiction around gambling. It's based in Las Vegas.
Interesting. That's a hard pivot.
People don't know anything about it. Like you can bring it up and nobody will know about it. It does not sell well, but he's publishing it under his name, and he's been releasing the books over the past few years while he's supposed to have been writing Game of Thrones as well, and like the remaining books for that.
I'm calling the cops. Come on, George, get with the program.
Like, and this is the perfect opportunity. Like, he could have, those books could very well be good, but he has not got the audience for them. And if anything, I feel like it's put a lot of people off seeing that sudden pivot. So if he'd published it under a pen name, he still has connections in the industry. You know, it's not like it's going to flop massively, but I feel like it would do better if it were under a pen name. You even see J.K. Rowling has done the same with, I believe she's got some crime books that she does, which are under a pen name as well. You will see that there are established authors who have some of the biggest brands in the world who are making this mistake, and some that are actually not making the mistake and doing it under a pen name and still seeing success.
For sure. We are trucking right along. Let's get into section 3, talking a little bit about the business mindset most NDA authors ignore. So I think that this is something that I don't hit on enough, because a lot of people don't understand in order to run a successful business for the long term, you have to have an ironclad mindset. So my biggest question, I'm going to toss it out here for both of us. I will sound it off on you first, and we'll see what I say after this. What's the danger of thinking one book is a business?
Okay. So there's quite a few answers to this question, let's put it that way. But I think the big danger, and this is throwing in an old adage here, but don't put all your eggs in one basket, really. A singular book is not a business. A singular book is nothing that you can build a portfolio around. You can't make a brand out of a singular book. If you look at any company out there that has found success, whether it be recent, whether it be decades back, whether it be online, no company has one singular product. That's not how it works. There's not a single car company that just sells one type of car. There's not a single restaurant that just sells one thing on the menu. Okay, but there might be a gimmick here or there, but for the most part, you need to have a repertoire, you need to have a catalog, you need to have multiple products that can appeal to multiple people. And in many cases, especially for authors, having a series of books is more appealing than just having one.
For sure.
People want to know that you have. Oh, sorry, yes. Go ahead.
I think you're so right, because the thing that happens is when you have multiple books underneath one author name, as soon as someone's done consuming one book, what's the next thing they're going to do? They're going to look for the other ones. And it's that buy through has just an amazing, like, it's so cool. There's a halo effect that you can have from having one book with other ones. Now, this is not to say, I don't want to tell authors and imply that there is no way to build a business around a single book. Because sure, if you're a nonfiction author, you could build a big, deep sales funnel, and you don't even have to have very much sales for that single book in order to really make a successful living. So there is that argument. But there are often times when some people will put out that one book and they have these great expectations. And when it launches and it flops, they become defeated and they go, oh, but Dale said I need to write a series. Dale said I need to do multiple books. What I'm going to say is that you just do the best with what you have, but understand, don't just try to hang your hat on one single book. Now, if this is a business in which it's a hobby, totally fine. Please disregard. Do that one book because it scratched your itch and it makes you feel good. But if you're looking at building this as a business, what I would say is become wildly prolific, because there's many opportunities for people to discover your work. There's a good reason why I'm so prolific. One, because I got ADHD, so I'm able to just write at insane volumes. And two, I have so many books out there that you're literally going to stumble over one of them at some point or another and want to, read it and buy that. So I'm not sure if that is the direction that you were kind of heading and talking as far as the one book as a business model.
Definitely. And I think to kind of tie into what you said here, an important word is momentum.
Yes.
Momentum in two senses. Momentum on your side as the author, but momentum on the reader's side too. Yeah. I can't tell you the number of times that I've had a song pop up on Spotify. It's a new band, I've never heard of them, and I'll go and have a look, and they've only ever released one album. And while in that moment, I really, really enjoyed the content I was consuming, in a month, I'm not going to remember that group because that momentum is gone. That's passed out of my mind. It's no longer there. It's no longer fresh.
Yep.
As an author, you want the same effect with your readers. Kind of what you brought up is once they've read that first book, what next? There needs to be something there to keep the momentum up. You need to stay fresh in their minds. Now, whether that can be a book that you've already published, a second one they can immediately hop into, but it can also be your marketing material promoting a book that's coming up. You need to stay fresh in people's minds. From an author's perspective, you need to also keep up the momentum, not just to keep an engaged reader base, but it's going to help with the creative juices on your side. The minute you slow down, you start to really let yourself fall into a rut. I found that myself. I was a ghostwriter for 5 years prior to getting into my current role. So I found that if I slowed down, I would immediately fall into a rut, and then it's difficult to get out of that. But on top of that, that business momentum is important too. If you release a book and you do the marketing and it does well, but you stop, any good graces that you were in with the algorithm start to decay.
Yep.
Like, we've got to talk about the algorithm again here, but it really is important that you keep momentum and you keep relevance, because the algorithm does look for that, and that's everywhere online. You'll see this as a common complaint with YouTubers in general and content creators, is if you stop putting content up on a place like YouTube, eventually you start to see that you don't trend as well.
I felt it. I felt that sting before.
Exactly. Yeah, next time you take a vacation, you're going to feel it again as well.
Yep, every time, for sure. Well, as we're kind of, talking about this along this line, I really want to address something while it's still on the top of my head. A lot of people want to know, okay, Dale, if one book is not enough, how many books will make that a steady income? And to me, I think that this is a loaded question, But in a lot of instances, you can build a pretty solid business off of 6 to 12 books. Now, I believe Kindlepreneur actually had like a case study of some sort, or he actually had a survey that he did, and they had found, I think it was like 6 to a dozen titles were like that tipping point of where an author would go from making like just hobbyist income of like $100 here, $1,000 there, to now making 5 or even 6 figures. So if that is something that you're an author like wondering, well, Dale, how many books do I need? Focus on at least that bare minimum, 6 to as much as a dozen, sometimes more. It just, experiences are going to vary. But I do know that just a single publication is not near as powerful as multiple publications underneath one umbrella. And I would say focus on trying to build that backlist. So that way in the next 4-5 years, you do have that. Look at the long game. Now, if you're an insane person, you can always just try to get 12 books out in the next year. I'm not going to mention my name as one of those types of people. But, you know, if you want to do that, that's fine. Just remember, work at the pace in which you can handle. But in the same instance, I want you to be realistic. Don't watch some video of, say, me and say, oh, well, Dale said he did 12 books in 1 year, so I've got to do that. No. Work to your strengths, play to your strengths, recognize your weaknesses. If you are a slow, very methodical writer, for me to expect you to do 12 books within a year is absolutely ludicrous. I've got a good friend of mine, Mark Brownless. Big shout out to Mark, by the way. Love you, man. He is a slow writer, and he will admittedly tell you he's a slow writer. And the reason is he's very meticulous about the words that he chooses. And he can't just go and type it as fast as say what I do. Because I'm like, I'll sort it out in the edits. Yeah. So it's just, take your time. Take your time if you're trying to build out that backlist. It does require some patience. And one of the things I would say is, and I'll get you to weigh in here in just a second here, Alan, is network with other authors. You should not work this business alone. Don't just like, hey, you know, I've got this advice from this YouTube video. Alan and Dale told me exactly what I need to do, and now I'm going to go lock myself in my office and not talk to anybody. So don't do that.
You've got to be out there.
Talk with other authors. And that's the cool thing is when you get that support, it helps mentally bring your mindset up so much more, especially if you're surrounding yourself with amazing people. I mean, if you can find other authors, I mean, I love chatting with S.D. Houston, Bill Latoria, Butcher's one of my favorite. He's so goofy. There's so many people that I find within my inner circle of authors.
These casual name drops.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But what's your stance on this as we start to wrap up and go into the Q&A?
Oh no, I think you're 100% correct. Networking is incredibly important. Building any brand requires you to have it requires you to get insight from people who have already done it. So let's start there. Nobody can really make a success of themselves without learning something first. And the best people to learn from are the people who have done it. So if you are trying to build that brand, network with people who are currently doing it or have done it. You are going to learn a lot. Secondly, if you're able to publicly network with these people, if you're able to collaborate, if you're able to advertise alongside, feature on their blog or their stream, in this case with us, if you are able to get involved and kind of get in front of their audience alongside them, you are opening up massive opportunities to build trust with a new group of potential readers. That really does, that's probably the main thing that you can benefit, at least from my point of view, in terms of collaboration and networking with other authors, is you want to build that level of trust that people know that if this other person who they trust is interacting with you, chances are you know what you're doing. They're vouching for you in a way. That is incredibly important for your public image, which, I mean, I know it's a selfish way of putting it, but that is how networking works. Regardless of industry, that's the point of it, is you're meant to build a name for yourself within the group of professionals that you are based.
Yeah. Well,
now, I do have a quick question.
Yeah, please fire away before we jump into that Q&A here.
Yeah, I actually do have a quick question for you, Dale.
Yeah.
Going back to talking about people that maybe are starting with 1 or 2 books. They're really early on in their journey in building out a brand and building out like their profile as an author. If they're unable to hit that 6 to 12 book sweet spot that we mentioned, where would you recommend they start? Would you say they should start out with ads, email lists? Should it be networking? Where do you think that ideal starting point would be from your point of view?
Get that email newsletter. Absolutely. There's so many times that people ask me like, okay, what is that one item that I can focus on? Let's put websites off to the side. Let's put social media off to the side. I'm going to tell you the single greatest asset that you can have as an author is an email newsletter. And I know that seems super overwhelming for some authors because they think, oh, yet another thing that I have to do in my business. But I will tell you, again, you can put the website off to the side. You can put the social media off to the side. If you focus entirely on email marketing, you can have a successful business model. And I've known of some authors that do it just that way. They don't even touch social media. I'm like, what are you doing? But that is somewhere that I would say you need to break ground on. Start your email newsletter, and it doesn't matter if you've got 6 subscribers or 6,000 subscribers. You have subscribers who you can communicate to and start to really build that brand out. And it's so important that you're very consistent with that email marketing practice. I tell people at least once a month, don't go any further than that, because if you go past a month in communicating with your subscriber base, they're going to forget you. They're going to forget you.
Exactly.
It's
momentum. Again,
momentum.
The key
yes,
word.
That is our key word today. I think we should do this like Pee-wee's Playhouse. Next time we say momentum, we'll have all the bells and whistles fire off. Before we do transition,
which one of us is going to spell it out?
Yeah, exactly. Just real quick here, folks. Today's broadcast is partnered with the fine folks over at Dibbly. If you would like to get some affordable author services, please go on over and visit Dibbly today. You can use my affiliate link at dalelinks.com/Dibbly. I've used them from cover design to editing. They can be used for proofreading. You got so many things. Go check out Dibbly today. Again, that's dalelinks.com/Dibbly. I greatly appreciate that support. We've covered a lot of ground, Alan, already, but now it's everybody else's turn. If you're watching live, drop your questions in the chat with a Q in front, and we'll get to as many as we can. If you're watching the replay, feel free to post your question in the comments. We'll circle back around and try to get those in future broadcasts. So, Alan, let's go ahead and take a look at things.
Yes.
I want to first of all address that for the first 2 minutes of our broadcast, we weren't even touching my YouTube channel. It wasn't firing off. Yeah, it's live streaming, so things will happen. But now we're on the YouTube channel. Yes. I was just like, okay, so as you were talking, I'm over here looking at things. I'm like, okay, what is going on? And I'm like trying to troubleshoot. So thank goodness for you, because if I was hosting this on my own, I would have had to been like, put that "be right back soon" screen up.
Well, that was my opportunity to make a mistake.
Exactly.
But,
yeah.
Unfortunately, it seems like I've missed it.
Yeah.
Now I've got to keep it clean for the whole time. Yeah.
Alrighty, so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to scroll up here, folks. If you do have the questions, please go ahead and load us up. We're going to hang around here as long as it takes, but we will have to break away before the end of the hour here. Big shout out to Natasha Motino. I love me some Natasha and Marco.
There's Natasha in the chat.
Yeah, she's in the chat.
Lovely.
Thank you so much for manning the chat there. I appreciate it. Elizabeth Morris, how you doing? Steven Saul, great to see you there, buddy. Natasha brings up a good one, and my apologies, I can't show the comments on the screen because unfortunately tech glitched out. You guys heard it already, but you're just gonna have to take my word for it here. But a recommendation Natasha gave when it comes to getting reviews, Get Authentic Reviews is a great place to start. Yes, Get Authentic Book Reviews is a fantastic website. I can personally vouch for them, and I will say that I'm actually going to be producing a video that's going to launch in October where I show everybody how I've gotten hundreds of reviews. No fluff, not a bunch of hype. I'm going to give you actual data. Like, it's going to be like all these different sources. So people are going to be blown away because I used to Get Authentic Book Reviews. I've used Book Bounty. I've used Gemzy. I've used NetGalley. I've used Booksprout. There's so many, but I want to kind of get all these things together and compile it into one giant video. All that to say this, that Get Authentic Book Reviews is great because they require verified purchase reviews in order to actually use their platform.
Okay. So that's how they get away with it.
Yeah.
That's smart. That's smart. Because I know that Amazon has been cracking down on reviews over the last few years.
Oh
It's
yeah.
getting a little bit scary out there, especially if you have been using some of the other sites. But I'm glad to hear that there are some options out there which
Yeah.
will get you legitimate reviews where you won't get in trouble.
Yeah.
Um, but also you said not a lot of hype for that video, but you are hyping it up. I'm even excited just hearing your little intro there.
Yeah.
October, you say? I'm marking that on my calendar.
October, it's given me enough time so that way I finish my 12 book series because I want to show how it performed across the entire dozen books. I know I could probably
I
just do
see.
it over like the first few books, but I wanted to kind of get the best case study possible. So it's like a year-long case study
Yeah.
that people are going to be able to get some insights into. Again, if you
Oh,
guys
that's
got any kind of
incredible.
questions, please fire off here. Want to say a big shout out over to Lebo. How you doing? It's great to see you. Darna, thank you so much for tuning in. Igor, my buddy, watching over on LinkedIn. Same goes for Dan Brown. He wrote Digital Fortress way before Da Vinci Code, and he had
Mm.
lots of disappointing moments. Okay, there's a typo there. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm doing him a great disservice. Rachel D. Adams, great to see you, Rachel. I was just chatting with your husband last night, I believe. Need to get my business going, side going. Great topic. Elizabeth Morris, how you doing? I think I already shouted you out. Lorianne, I've made a business from one textbook because it has become well known over 30 years and used by many schools. Yes. So
Oh,
Lorianne, that's a
wow. That is
great,
incredible.
yeah, that's why I don't ever want to say like one book can't always be a business. There are the
Yeah.
outliers where you are going
Oh,
to hit that
definitely.
perennial hit. And congratulations to
Mm.
you, Lorianne. That's so
I mean, that's
fantastic.
incredible. And what a contribution as well, a school textbook. Like if
Yeah.
there's ever an honorable way to make it big publishing, that definitely must be up there. That's incredible.
Sadly, I don't think it was in the textbooks that I used in school back in the day. Unfortunately, that was. It's been a little over 30 years since I was in school. Let's see here. Thomas Bradley,
Oh,
great to
you
see
don't
you.
look it.
Yeah, I primarily write in the horror genre, but I also in sci-fi. To keep my brand current, I always try to infuse some semblance of horror in the sci-fi writings. Yeah. Finding that
Yeah.
common ground for sure, for sure.
Again, it's the evolution of a topic, and you'll find that that's a perfect example. Horror and sci-fi go together beautifully. I don't think there is a single horror book or a single sci-fi book out there that doesn't have some form of like existential horror in it, staring into the abyss type vibes. Those are a perfect combination.
Yeah, for sure. Big shout out to Blackbird Tweet, Donovan Lee. How you doing? Rachel Adams. All right, we got the first question. I'm online to finish
Okay.
2 series by the end of the year. When should I begin consistent marketing? I thought I should wait until I had more books available before spending too much. Let me get this one here.
Yeah.
That is a valid concern. Like you're already having this series taking off. You're kind of going, okay, does it make sense for me to spend money now or spend money later? I don't think it comes down to spending money sometimes. Yes, if you have the discretionary budget to invest into marketing and promoting your current books, I would say do that. Don't let that hold you back. What I would say is if money is a concern and you're looking at trying to pinch pennies, that's totally fine. There are so many other effective strategies for marketing and promoting your book that does not require your money. So, and I see that a lot with a lot of cash strapped authors that unfortunately say, I can't make it because I don't have money. Sure, it is a pay to play world. If you've got the money, you're going to get the exposure. But in the same instance, there are very savvy authors out there. So I've already been dropping some names here. Susan Montgomery, great example. She's an indie author based out of Bowling Green, Ohio. And this woman is oh man, she is just a dynamo. Like she is killer at what she does. What she does is she finds ways to work within her community. She worked with a cat cafe and did a book
That's
themed around their cat cafe that they were able to sell
that's
there.
brilliant.
She brought
Yeah.
in the Bowling Green News. She was able to go on to the radio station. Like she is getting everywhere. And guess what? It's not costing her a dime. That is it's beautiful. So if you can stop thinking like, I need Amazon ads to succeed, you could just take that, put it off to the side. Think about where am I at? What are the tools that I have? And how can I be able to creatively engineer something that best showcases me? Because that's what it is at the end of the day. Marketing and promotion is about making yourself and your book visible as possible. What do you say about that, man?
I mean, it ties into what we mentioned earlier about networking as well. Like we touched on networking, but networking isn't strictly author to author. It doesn't strictly mean that you have to chat with people that are doing the same thing.
Correct.
It is building connections, and especially if you have a community that fits your work, fits your topic, fits your niche. If you're working within a very specific niche, you can easily network to that community and build connections there that otherwise wouldn't really happen if you didn't go looking for them. I mean, let's do a variation of that cat cafe example that you mentioned now.
Yeah.
If you're doing a book on fitness and you're able to talk to the owner of a local gym and get your book behind the counter at that gym, there's an immediate, small scale, granted, but there's an opportunity for you to get your book out there and to get views on it, to get people looking at it.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe you can talk with the personal trainers there. Maybe one of them who has a decently sized Instagram account is willing to post it on there for you. Like that type of networking, that organic growth through talking with people who have an interest in what you're doing is invaluable. It's probably some of the best catalyst for growth that you can have, not just as an author, but as a small business owner. You'll see the same thing happening regardless of the business type, but there are people that will do little networking events like this. They'll host an event at their restaurant, they'll host an open day, having this type of community interaction with your content is incredibly important.
Yeah, so much. And never take any one reader for granted, folks. Never take any one reader for granted. And just having that small scale exposure seems like it's not much. I'd interviewed an author a couple of months ago with the Self-Publishing with Ally podcast, and she actually had become just undeniable in her community before she ever focused on places like Amazon. And she was like, that was the biggest, boost to her business, was the fact that she focused on community first. And then she was like, okay, let's go ahead and hit the online stuff. I got time for about another 1 or 2 questions here, folks. I noticed there's a lot. Thank you so much for tuning in. Wherever you're watching from, please let us know where you're watching. Are you watching on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch, X, Facebook, any of those? Let us know. And also, where are you watching from geographically? I'm here in Ohio, as some people are already familiar. All right. So we've got a couple of just loaded questions. My apologies, I'm not going to get to everybody. I'm going to scroll on down here to the bottom and work my way on up. Question from Kiara. She says, can you post the link to your book promo sites that you have used? I have a release coming up and I want to start planning today. Go to dalelinks.com/book promos. So let me go ahead. I'm going to type this inside the chat so that way everybody will have the opportunity to do that. Again, that's dalelinks.com/book promos. And it's just a list of lists. That. What's that?
Like I said, make sure you bookmark that, because that is truly a Pandora's box of information there.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you a little bit of inside scoop here, Alan. You ready for this? This is gonna work for everybody here.
Give it to me.
Everybody get close. Everybody get close here. Okay. That site right there that I'm gonna send you to, all right, it's just a list. It's like a link tree. It's got a list of lists. So like it has the Kindlepreneurs list of different free and book promotion websites. It's got David Gogren's, it's got all these. But more recently, I actually had someone go through and curate and distill all of those options into a spreadsheet. And I posted it over inside my Discord community. So if you're not part of my Discord community, dalelinks.com/Discord, and you can just get that entire spreadsheet. You can go through alphabetically if you want to and hit all the ones. You can cherry pick all the free options if you're cash strapped. So just kind of put it out there again, dalelinks.com/Discord. No pressure on that one there, folks. So great question. Let me go ahead. I didn't post all the channels. My apologies. I don't think I was able to reach the Dibbly channels. So anybody that's watching on those. Okay, we have, is it better to put one book out, a book after another, or just go all in with maybe 3 or 4 nonfiction, same field, but not a series? Personally, I think that you should focus on one at a time, because trying to launch all at the same time means that you have to not just market and promote one, you have to do multiple ones. And what's going to end up happening is you're going to spread, or you're going to split your reader's attention in too many directions. I know it seems kind of contradicting what we said earlier, like you can't do a big business on one book, and like people are like, oh my gosh, I gotta hurry up and get another one. And no, it's fine. Build it out. think long term on those types of things. And also, I just want to give you a heads up too. You might hear, oh, I got this still in my face. I think I covered everything I needed to say there. Unfortunately, I'm going a little too long on a very simple question. All right, let's see if there's any one more left here. See some people watching from YouTube in North Carolina, Toronto area. Natasha, are they hanging out with you up there?
Oh yeah, no, everyone in Toronto knows each other. That's what I've learned from working at Dibbly.
Exactly. Or all Canadians know Canadians, right?
Oh yeah, all of them know each other.
You got a friend over in Calgary, exactly. Don't you know them, Alan?
Big country, small community.
Yeah, exactly. Alrighty, I want to scroll up and see if we got one more question we can cover here in the last few minutes. I published 5 versions of ebooks in 7 versions of print books of same book. It was hard, but I did it in the same language, English. How is this one book, multiple book versions publication? I don't think I understand the question. Yeah, Alan, are you able to make sense of that? My apologies, Matt. I think
no. I'm not too sure what the question is, but I'd be very interested to know because like it sounds like a fascinating thing, doing multiple versions of the same book, same language, multiple ebooks, multiple paperbacks. I feel like there is definitely room for a conversation there on how efficient that would be as a strategy and how effective it would be, and whether it's worth the time and the money to do so.
True. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. That's one of those instances. Translations are great, and I see a lot of people very excited about translations now that AI is coming to the forefront.
Yeah.
But what I would just recommend is, I'm just going to give you the old adage: the man who chases 2 rabbits gets none. So focus on building that one at a time. Good friend of mine, Danica Favorite, she's been on my channel a number of times. She's from over at Publish Drive. She gave me a hard time after our last broadcast. She's like, Dale, did you get your books translated yet? I'm like, come on now. I'm not even done with the series yet. What are you doing to me? Don't kill me. So, all right, we got one last question here, and this comes from Ash. Ash says, how do you generate an email list within KDP? Is that possible? No, it is not possible. So this is the big challenge, is getting people to subscribe to your email newsletter. I'm going to answer this very briefly here. You're going to want to make sure you go with an email marketing service that you prefer: MailerLite, ConvertKit, now called Kit, Authored Letter. I don't care. Like, you just any of those email marketing services is totally fine, just as long as it works for you. You're going to build that landing page and then get the URL or the web address that you have for that, and you're going to put that in your front matter of your book. So subscribe to my newsletter and you're going to get a back scratch. And then you may not want to offer that one. It gets weird. And then in the back of the book, you're going to do another call to action. I like to split test. So what I will do is I'll put one reader magnet option up front, and I like to put one in the back. So that way I can see which one actually performs the best, and I can start to double down on those efforts. But that is going to be the way that you can do that, Ash, is getting within the front and back matter. You can also hit social media. You can hit your website, things like that. But unfortunately, the only way that you can truly hit someone's email inbox from within your KDP dashboard is through Author Central. Now, you're probably going, wait, how does that work? If someone follows your author profile on Amazon, they're going to get notifications about any upcoming releases that you have. So if you have a pre-order, boom, sends it on out. It even has a new book recommendations tool that you can recommend specific books, and it'll go on your author profile. So that's really the only way you can indirectly email someone from within KDP, is through Author Central. But as you can see, there's so many steps because you actually have to publish a book in order to actually get that email out. And it's not like you can personalize it, be like, hey, I've got a new book, you should check it out. No, Amazon's going to go, here's your favorite author, you're following them, buy it.
Now, you brought up social media, and I just want to quickly bring up a point there.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people a lot of arguments going around over which social media is the best and most effective to promote your book on.
Yeah.
And I've got a personal favorite, and it's a recent personal favorite, but I think TikTok is really where it's at nowadays. I think that's where you get the biggest reach. Conversion, maybe not as much as others, but you get massive reach on TikTok. But where do you think authors should really start with social media advertising?
All right. Well, I tell you, I gave him the wrap up signal. He's like, what's going on? We need to start wrap up things today, folks. As much as I'd love to cover everything, I want to thank each and every single one of you for tuning in. If you want to try my preferred writing software, folks, please check out Dibbly Create's Pro Plan for yourself. Grab a 7-day free trial using my affiliate link at dalelinks.com/DibblyCreate. And if you're looking for affordable premium publishing services, be it editing, formatting, cover design, ghostwriting, and more, check out Dibbly's full marketplace at dalelinks.com/Dibbly. Thanks for tuning in. There's the alarm. Let me know we got to wrap things up. It's like time to get off the stage.
I can appreciate you had an alarm set.
Well, I want to thank you, first of all. I appreciate you being along for the ride here, Alan. And in about another 3 months, we're going to do this again, right?
Oh, yeah. No, thank you, Dale. I'm looking forward to the next one. It's been a while since I've been in front of a crowd this big, so I'm sure the next one is going to be even better. I'm going to be a bit more relaxed then, but thank you for having me on. Thank you to your audience for having me. And if you guys do want to see more of me, I think there are probably videos of me on www.dibbly.com as well. So I'll be lurking around there with some of our other webinars.
All right, folks, on behalf of Alan here, we want to thank you for tuning in, and we're going to bid you adieu, and hopefully we'll see you in the next broadcast. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. Special shout out to my channel members for both the podcast channel and the main channel. Without your support, some projects we do at Self-Publishing with Dale would be much harder to fund. If you want to contribute to the cause, visit dalelinks.com/memberships for details and get your on-screen shout out at the end of each broadcast. Till later, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale.